The problem, I've mentioned this before, is you have to be very, very careful when you're in the public eye. Particularly say, well, only a couple of days ago, pop superstar Beyonce got on stage with the presidential candidate Kamala Harris. Now some might say, well, that's good sisterhood, all that sort of stuff. But as I've said to you before, instantly you can lose 50% of your core audience, because whether you like Miss Harris or not, 50% of them won't. That's the deal, isn't it? It's just the law of averages, as they say. Now, someone over here in the United Kingdom that's truly finding out exactly how well being political can affect your career is none other than this particular individual, the former Countdown hostess number cruncher herself, Carol Vorderman. But did Sir Keir Starmer decide to literally wipe her way? As ever, let me explain. Maury, good to see you. Thank you so much as ever for your time today. Lovely to have your company. It is a tricky thing, isn't it? On a more serious note, I've told you, we'll have a quick wave, sorry. It's a very tricky thing, isn't it? Because you do have to be careful. People form an opinion. And it's like that even if you're saying the school playground, wasn't it? Do you remember, did you like the Stones, the Beatles? Were you like the Bay City Rollers or the Rubettes? Every generation has a fight amongst them. And politics are no different. Now, the problem with Carol Vorderman is this. She was once very well liked and regarded as the hostess of Countdown for many years. She then demanded £1 million a year just to simply switch a few cards around. Channel 4 decided they'd had enough, so they got rid of her. But in Carol's world, she decided to leave. You get the picture. And then, of course, she went through a succession of TV shows, adverts, money lending things, you name it, anything to make money, Carol was there. But what was fascinating was every job seems to peter out. For instance, she left Loose Women because she was going to be travelling around the world after she got a pilot's license. That never amounted to anything. She popped up on Strictly Come Dancing, didn't do particularly well there, never talks about it now. You see, there's a pattern for me. Recently, of course, she, had to step back. Love that phrase, don't you? Step back from her weekly radio show on LBC due to burnout, exhaustion, whatever you want to call it. This is on the same week that LBC have been posting record amount of listener figures for all of their presenters. So why would they allow somebody, if she was doing so well, to step back? It was a couple of hours a week. And the last time I looked, Carol doesn't have a full-time job. So what does she do the rest 6 days of the week? Well, apparently she's burnt out from writing a book. She wrote a book all about, exactly how to bring the government down and all the tricks and stuff like that, and her version of events. That's her prerogative. Has it sold? No. Now, the other side of the coin is this. After she decided that she couldn't necessarily get the right PR, she then literally hit out at her former employer, the BBC, basically saying she was removed from BBC Wales, but Hugh Edwards was allowed to stay on with his full salary. You see how the connection goes now. Now, again, where it gets even more interesting, according to a very well-placed source, and as ever, allegedly, as we know, Carol had been very supportive of the current British government, the Labour Party, headed by Sir Keir Starmer. And she had hoped at first to literally offer her opinion, wanted or not, at the recent conference. That didn't come through. But she was hanging her hopes on that big investment do, the sort of thing where His Majesty the King popped up, all about how investment was coming to the United Kingdom. Originally set up by the latter government, the Conservative Party and Rishi Sunak, but who's quibbling over a few minor details as truth, certainly not Sir Keir. And apparently it's now truly hit home to Carol that Sir Keir literally doesn't want her on board. Inside sources at Number 10 tell me that they feel that she's a little bit too fractious and a little bit of a loose cannon. Let's not forget, she's broken down in tears inside a car, claiming the paparazzi were chasing her and she couldn't cope. And as I said, recently had to abscond from her own radio show. But she had hoped that there was going to be something with inside the Labour Party. And it looks like, even though she was one of their greatest supporters in opposition, doing her very best to persuade people to vote for the party, at the 11th hour, nobody's given a vote to Carol from inside the party. Either way, it just goes to show how difficult and how, shall we say, dangerous, more importantly, it is if you decide to come out, even as a micro-celebrity, and get political. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.